Hey, what's up, guys? It's me, the professor, back again with another manga review. This one, uh, most of my other ones will be continuous because those mangas are still being written, still being published, still being posted online. This one is finished, besides what it says it is finished. It is called Record of Fallen Vampire, and it is really interesting. And I know those of you who have seen my videos or my one subscriber, thank you. um, most people will say how there are different story arcs, how much they meld together. Me, I just read it for fun. That's about it with me. I know there's one specific reviewer that I watch from time to time who gets really into things because he's that into it. But I'm sorry, guys. I don't know. My face just gets itchy sometimes. Anyways, mine is the fact that I'm not your average viewer. Your average reviewer. Most of the time, I really don't know what I'm talking about. And those of you who either do watch good reviews or do know how to make a good review, and you've seen my videos, you know that I don't know what I'm doing about making these review videos. I'm just telling you my opinion on these. But that aside, here we go. Jumping into Record of Fallen Vampire. This is a supernatural, I guess it's called, because it has vampires and aliens, which you're gonna have to read to understand that part. Spoilers, but not that much. It starts with this guy that we meet called Strauss. That is one of the names he is known by. Well, I'm gonna call him that because it's the easiest name to call him by. Strauss was once a vampire king, and it starts off with that. He is portrayed as a villain, but from you see it most things from his eyes. You see most things from his eyes, and so the view you're trying to see is kind of confusing at the beginning because here's this guy who like really starts out with a fight, and that fight ends up with someone dead. Goes straight into another fight, which is a lot stronger, a lot fiercer, more energy is being put into it. But still ends up with Strauss being the winner. He doesn't kill this guy. He fights this girl who brutally wounds him. And this girl is known as the 49th Black Swan, which you're going to have to read to understand what that means. But anyway, this is just the beginning. Like, it's 3 fights almost in a row. And then it goes to him on a mountain trying to heal. And he meets what looks to be this little girl crying because her mom is dead. Pretty sure her dad is dead. And she has been kicked out of her village because she has been found out to be part vampire. And this guy seems to care about her a lot, like a father would care about a child. And then, like, the next day, he goes to fight, the next night, he goes to fight again. Tells the second person that he fought, which it becomes like a routine thing during the manga. Asked him to take her to this community that he is helping to build for people like that, people with vampire blood but aren't fully vampire. But that's weird for a villain if you think about it. Most villains are the guy who wants world domination or wants to kill everyone that isn't like him. He fights this guy again and pushes him to the brink of death in the form of turning 2/3 of his body into ash. But he doesn't kill him, he leaves him alive. And this guy's healing factor, which most of these vampire hybrid type things do have in this manga, they call them dampires, which, if you're any kind of solid good nerd, you have heard of. um, then he goes to the Black Swan, he fights the 49th Black Swan, and he kills her. But most villains, when they kill someone, they either have a wicked grin, a smirk, or something on their face showing that they enjoy this. His face, which once I got to the end, I understood why. And feels, the feels, it definitely aimed at the feels. But his face looks like he doesn't want to do this. His face looks like he wishes there was another way, that he didn't have to kill this girl. Which is weird, he's the bad guy. The entire storyline, up to like 3/4 of the storyline, he is seen as the bad guy. And the story of this bad guy is that 1,000 years ago, in their storyline, 1,000 years ago, there was a king, a vampire king, a kingdom actually, known as Kingdom of Night, I believe it was called. Because it was nothing but vampires. Prosperous, peaceful, all this good stuff. And its king had a daughter by a human woman. And in their society normally that won't be allowed at all. She's supposed to be cast out, for forgotten about, all this stuff. But she was powerful, she was kind, she was like pretty much the perfect princess. So no one really talked about it. She stayed in the castle as a princess, and no one mentioned that her mother was, excuse me guys, was a human. She turned 60, which I guess in vampire years is 12, by the look of how the artist drew her. 12, and the king has a true vampire heir, a daughter. So then, that being said, people start pushing her out, and not because oh, she's a whole vampire, we don't need you. No, it's more like she is a 100% vampire, and that's a good thing. And you are a vampire, and you are amazingly strong, which is also a good thing. But the thing is, we don't want people talking bad about your sister because you are stronger, you are smarter, because you are braver, because you're all these good things. Because you're all these good things, we don't want the king's line to end because you have all this, but we don't know about the princess. They make it sound good, but I'm pretty sure they're just kicking out because she's half vamp, not 100% vampire. But that happens, and this girl meets our villain, Strauss, who is a 100% vampire. as well. Um, for 60, I believe, maybe 160 years, she lives with Strauss, and they have like a father-daughter relationship. And then, Strauss is 100% vampire. He's doing all of these good things, very good, good things for the kingdom. He is the general of their armies. He has never lost a battle, never, he's a kind soul, a gentle soul. And, again, all these good things, people are thinking he would make a great king. And a vampire, to have a vampire, full vampire child, needs to be at least 1,000 years old for that to happen. Or a child in general. Need to be 1,000 years old to a child in general. I don't know why, it's just, I guess, what happens over there. But as their general uh, fights this battle against this opposing country, wins, but this town is destroyed in the process, and there are refugees. And he meets this girl, and like, as typical love at first sight, and he falls for her, brings her back with him. He loves this girl, genuinely loves this girl, so much so that he marries her and gets her pregnant. This guy is only like 340 years old. He's supposedly has to be 1,000 before he can have a kid, and he's gonna have a baby. Uh, well, I'm pretty much telling you the whole story. You're gonna figure out at the end of the series, But to get there, it is a very interesting story. The end is interesting, but the story to get there is a whole lot better. And I'm just telling you Strauss's history from the viewpoint of someone who knows everything about Strauss. Anyways, back to story. Marries her, gets her pregnant, and I think he becomes king. Or no, maybe not yet, I don't remember. No, he's not king, he's still general. But what happens is he goes away. I guess he spent 10 years trying to get this, like, round table type meeting with leaders from every country surrounding the Night Monarchy. That's what they were called, the Night Monarchy. In order to talk to them about having a peace treaty. He tried, he really did. And it seemed to be working. 2 weeks into it, it's working great until bad things happen. He has the king's daughter, king's half daughter, who he treats as his daughter, who is his second in command in the army, and then the king's 100% vampire daughter, who fancies him and who is jealous of this human girl who is not pregnant with his child, blah blah blah. Eventually, during this 2 week process time period where he's gone, trying to get this peace treaty to happen, the daughter, the heir princess known as Adelheid, goes to talk to this girl, goes to talk to her, and say, I'm sorry for being jealous. You have Strauss's heart. Congratulations on the baby. And he overhears Strauss's enemy. Not really enemy. More like, a person who believes they're in the right to try and stop this evil which doesn't exist but wants to make sure it doesn't happen. It's kind of complicated. It's like the kind of mom who gives you medicine when you're not sick to make sure that you don't get sick. That's who his enemy was. because Strauss was known to be extremely powerful, like strong enough to take over entire countries, even the entire world if he wanted to. And his attitude, the way his attitude was, is he didn't want to at all. But she wanted to make sure that that never changed because she assumed vampires were like humans and they shouldn't change like that, blah blah. So that's his enemy, this woman who sees a potential evil and wants to get rid of it for the sake of humanity. Good cause, stupid reason. Anyways, Adelheid stumbles in on Strauss's wife talking to this woman who happens to be this woman's stepmother type thing. And they're talking about how she hates Strauss because he is so strong. How she loves Strauss because she got to the chance to get to know him. Argue, and then his enemy says, "I'm sorry, but I have to do this for the sake of humanity," and kills off her own daughter while she is 8 months pregnant. Like, like using magic, because magic exists at this point, hits her hard enough to kill her and kill the child inside of her. Adelheid tries to protect this girl, try to um, do something to save this girl. And all this girl says is, "This medallion that Strauss made for me here," and tell him to keep smiling because this girl was kind at heart, naive sometimes, but still pretty much a badass to live in a place with vampires and tell them to smile. And I know most of you thinking vampires, bloodsuckers. No, that's not how they work. They can, but they don't. Anyways, um, she is killed, and then when Strauss comes back, he is furious for about 5 minutes. And most of you are wondering, 5 minutes? Shouldn't he be furious for longer than that? I mean, his wife was killed, his unborn child was killed. That's why it's hard to see him as the villain when he's not the hero. Because, given the circumstances, he's supposed to be furious. He's supposed to try and find out who killed his wife, because he doesn't know, who killed his wife and who killed his unborn child. Instead, he doesn't do that at all. And for the sake of the kingdom, keeps her death quiet and continues on with his life. And a couple of years later, he becomes king, reigns a peaceful kingdom for about 10 years, and then people start freaking out because he's stronger than previously thought. And the council tries to kill him. Adelheid tries to infuriate him to make him safe because she does love him, by getting that medallion, because she never showed it to him, never gave it back to him, never passed on the message, but took the medallion and gave it to the council to when they were going to capture the king, to piss him off so that it looks like Adelheid killed his wife. But when it came time for the plan of Strauss killing Adelheid to happen, instead he forgives her, and again says, "For the good of this kingdom to continue this age of peace and prosperity we have, do what you must. All of you have acted honorably." Talking to the people who are going to kill him. And when they go to kill him, Adelheid's magic gets awakened very, very very dangerously. You know, for 5 days straight, ends up destroying half the country. Goes out, probably tried to go out even further. And his worst enemy comes and uses the spell that she's been trying to do, which takes a lot of manpower to do. And it takes about 2 days to get it all done. 2 days later, thanks to Strauss's daughter, who's a brilliant strategist. I'm talking a lot. Brilliant strategist. They get it, they seal her away. And that's that. They seal her away. It's over with. And Strauss is found. Strauss turns his back on his kingdom, on his people, on his own daughter. So that instead of those who have vampire blood and humans being at odds because of Adelheid's power, he becomes the bad guy. So that these two forces, instead of going clashing against each other, go against him, which is what he wants. He wants peace for his people. Anyways, we find out that there is another thing that his enemy, has done. 2 ways to try and take him down. There was the spell that she did to take down the queen, and then there was the Black Swan, which was that this woman arms have the ability to negate all magic, and who will continue hunting its prey, being the king and not the queen, because she's just as strong, if not stronger, and she's hunting them down until they are both dead. Strauss fights the first Black Swan and is infuriated, finds his enemy, and demands an answer to this question: was that my wife and undead child? She says yes. The fields are there. So it sucks, because this guy's life has been a living hell. I mean, for 1,000 years, he's being hunted by humans, hunted by his own kind, and led by his daughter. Hunted by his own kind, led by his daughter, and hunted by the spirits of his wife and unborn child, who was a girl, his unborn daughter, who take over the body of someone who looks something like the original. The original's name was Stella. Something like Stella, to continue fighting, to continue gaining power, gaining abilities, gaining knowledge on this man they are supposed to hunt, so that one day someone can kill him. And it sucks the way it ends. It really does. Because at the end everybody figures this out. Everybody knows this. And then it ends up to being a fight between the 50th Black Swan and Strauss. So 50 times Strauss has killed his wife and daughter. 49 actually. 49 times Strauss has killed his wife and daughter. And it sucks. Because you've grown attached to Strauss, being that he's the main character in this story, and you don't want to see him die, but at the same time, you don't want him to go through more hell and have to fight a woman who looks like his wife, who has the spirit of his wife and his unborn daughter. And that sucks a lot. But, if you want to figure out what actually happens, you have to, read it. I'm going to post a link to where I read it, which is mangapanda.com. It's down there. Read it. I think you'll like it. If you're into fairy tale, if you read Sekire, or a couple other ones that I'm reading, which I'll post videos about those soon. If you like those, then you'll probably like this one. You'll probably like I forgot Tale of a Fallen Vampire. History of I forgot what it's called. But just put Fallen Vampire, it'll show. There's only 4 words. First word I forgot of Fallen Vampire. It's not hard to miss. Just go to search and just put it in. You'll find it. And just trying to introduce you guys to more manga every day. I'm the professor, and have fun. Signing off.